Friends, if you believe that what is controls the way you feel, then you're done. If what is controls the way you feel, then you have no possibility ever of changing your vibration, which means you look at what is, you vibrate about what is, the universe gives you more of what is. And then you look at the more that you're getting, and then you offer a vibration about it, and then the universe gives you more of it. If you want something to change in your experience, you have to change the way you feel. You have to change the way you're looking at it if what it is to change. So, we like to talk about the emotional journey. We want you to become vibrationally aware. We want you to care more about how you feel than about what is. We want you to start controlling how you feel about what is. Because when you start controlling how you feel about what is starts becoming more of what you want. You can tell by the way you feel whether you're marching towards something that you're going to like when you get there, or whether you're marching towards something that you're not going to like when you get there. So when you look at powerful people, charismatic people, people that you call masters of whatever it is they are masters of, it is because they want something that they believe they can do. When you are a vibrational match to your own desire and you are sending one signal, you are literally invincible. Nothing can keep it from happening. And you hear of those people who are so stubborn, you might call them, or determined. In other words, they hold themselves in vibrational alignment with what they want. They don't allow themselves to split their own energy. Everything that you are living has only to do with whether your energy is aligned or whether your energy is split. Because when your energy is split, you water down your power. When you say, I want this, but you're offering two signals that are in contradiction to each other, and the universe cannot respond to your clear signal because you're not offering a clear signal. But when you fork your way up the emotional scale and you come into vibrational alignment with what you want, so you are sending one signal, then it must be. It is law. It has to be. Heaven and earth part. Amazing things happen. People who don't understand this, who don't understand about forking, who don't understand about closing the gap, who don't understand about vibration, stand back in amazement and complain at your good fortune when they don't have the same good fortune. Everyone is entitled to this same good fortune, but you've got to work your own magic. You've got to work yourself up that emotional scale. You cannot continue to fork off in the direction of what you don't want and then be surprised when what you don't want manifests. So here's how it works. You've been banging around, you're out here, you haven't really known about this stuff. Things happen, things you want, things you don't want. You've offered all kinds of vibrations, and your vibrational future is full of all kinds of things that you want and that you don't want. Because every thought that you've been thinking has caused you to launch rockets of desires. So let's say that you went to the mailbox and you got a big bill, and your awareness of your current checking account balance tells you that you cannot pay this bill. You can't even come close to paying this bill. And you think, oh my God, what have I done? And so as you're standing there in this discomfort over where you stand, what we want you to be aware of is that what you do next has everything to do with whether you will open the flow of money and make it better, or whether you will continue to shut down the flow of money. As you make a decision that you care how you feel, and that you care more about how you feel about not having enough money than you do about not having enough money. In other words, my attitude about this is what really matters, not my current state of abundance, because my current state of abundance or health or relationship will change as my vibration changes. So my emotional response to this is everything. So you sit down and you open the bills and you face the reality that you're living, and you feel overwhelmed with your current situation. So there you are. There you are. Your desire for abundance is over here, and your current vibration relative to money is over here. So you say to yourself, I am in such trouble, I don't know what I'm going to do, as you move in the opposite direction of what you're wanting. And then you say, things just cost so much, as you continue to move in the wrong direction. Or something like that. We're just giving you hypotheticals of what you might say. Then you say, it's just not fair. And then you say, they're not paying me nearly what I'm worth. And about then, you remember Abraham demonstrating to you you're forking off in the wrong direction. And even though in the last minute you forked several times in the direction of what you do not want, you're aware that you're doing it, and it just sort of is happening to you because law of attraction can't give you thoughts that are very far from the thoughts you're thinking and how you feel. But now you decide to sort of take control of your forking process. So you stop somewhere and you make an effort to move in the other direction. And you say something like, well, maybe things will get better. And then you think, yeah, right. And then you think, well, things have gotten tight from time to time, and I usually figure a way out of it. And then you think, yeah, but look at where I am now, as you fork back. And then you say, because you're still making an effort, finances are about dollars out and dollars in, and while I can't do anything necessarily this red hot minute about making more money come in, I can be a little bit more deliberate about what goes out. And that feels a little better. And then you think, but I've been here so often, as you fork back. But now you get the sense of what we're talking about. Now you're doing some deliberate forking. In other words, now, even though you've made several forks in the direction that you don't want to go, and some in the direction that you do want to go, now you're more nimble. Now you're aware. Now you're making an effort. Now law of attraction isn't just carrying you away with your negative thoughts because you've deliberately activated some more positive thoughts. So now more options are opening up for you. It's like the roadway begins to clear a little bit. And then you say something like, I'm going to look through this pile and I'm going to decide what's most urgent, and I'm going to pay them as best I can, and I'm going to make some phone calls. And with that decision, you feel a little better. And then you say, I'll do it later, and you walk away from it. And you have, through this small effort, left yourself in a better vibrational position than when you were at the mailbox earlier. You've changed your vibration. And the thing that we want you to know, that we don't think you know, that we want so much for you to know, because when you know this, your life will be transformed, you know? We want you to understand that that small effort has changed your vibrational point of attraction. And now you have access to different forking points. Now you have access to different rendezvous. Now, with just that little bit of effort, different vibrational mind patterns are going to start to break loose for you. And your timing with things is going to be better. And your awareness of where you are financially is going to be more keen. And all kinds of things are going to improve soon. But the most important thing is you have improved the way you feel now. You're no longer in cold sweats. Your mouth is no longer dry. In fact, there's a decisiveness that started to come over you, and you're on your way. You're well along your way. That first effort is always the hardest one, you see. You must find a way of becoming a vibrational match to what you've asked for, not to the reason you ask for it. The reason you've asked for it, you're already a match. That's why you're ornery. The reason you're asking for it, you're already a match to what you don't want. That's why you feel the consternation or the struggle or the embarrassment or the overwhelmment. That's why you feel the anger. That's why you feel the resentment or the blame. That's why you feel the depression. In other words, step 1 causes you to ask for something. Step 3 is you got to get in the vortex. You got to get inside the vortex where the answers are, where the alignment is, where the circumstances and events have already been aligned, where the solutions are. You have to be a vibrational match to the answer, not to the problem. You can't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 FM. And we don't want to make any of those radio stations angry with us, but one of those frequencies is in the vortex and one of them isn't. Draw your own conclusions. Talk radio outside the vortex. Beautiful music inside. So when you get your mind around this and you realize that you are a being with 2 vibrational vantage points that are in every waking moment playing off of one another, then you can understand why you feel the emotions you do. When you feel joyful, it's because there's no resistance within you. When you feel painful, when you feel ornery, even if you have physical discomfort, that means there's resistance within you. And that resistance is your attention to something that has a lower frequency, that lowers the frequency of your vibration and holds you in, hear this, an unnatural place. It is natural for you to be in the vortex. And the reason that we can say this so unequivocally to you is because this vortex of creation is so much bigger than this vortex of creation that you've got going on. In other words, when you are exploring in your physical form, the whole purpose of this exploration is for the adding to the whole of who you are. So when you explore and you add to, but you don't go, well, let's be clear. You go eventually. Because when you have your croaking experience, the vortex will take you and you will feel the ecstasy of the releasing of all of that resistance. But we just don't think you should have to croak in order to get in the vortex. And that's what this gathering is about. We call this the art of allowing. The art of allowing myself in my physical form to be a vibrational match to the larger part of me. The art of no longer doing that thing I do, beating that drum I beat, beating the drum and keeping active within me the thought and therefore the vibration that is contrasting or contradicting to the vibration of who I really am, which slows down my vibration, which keeps me from the vortex, which gives me the indication of negative emotion. So is it the negative emotion that keeps you out of the vortex? No. The negative emotion is your indication that you're not in the vortex. The negative emotion is your indication of a lower, slower vibration. Lower and slower than who? Than the masters? Than God? Than the good ones? Lower and slower vibration from who? Lower and slower vibration from the larger part of you. You're the one through life who sped your vibration up. And once you have sped your vibration up, you got to keep up with it, because there's no regression. There's no going back. You cannot live life and know this and the larger part of you become it and then say, never mind. You can't do it. You cannot be less than life has caused you to become. And if you attempt it, you will feel the negative emotion that is your indicator that you're doing an unnatural thing. You're holding yourself back from what you have become. Nice to know.